In a remote corner of Death Valley National Park lies a dry lakebed known as the Racetrack Playa. It is one of the flattest, most desolate places on Earth, surrounded by jagged black mountains and scorched by a sun that feels personal. But the playa holds a secret that baffled scientists for over a century. Hundreds of heavy rocks that move across the desert floor on their own. These sailing stones range from small pebbles to massive boulders weighing over 700 pounds. They leave long, deep furrows in the sun-baked mud, some stretching for over 1,500 feet. Some tracks are perfectly straight, while others take sharp, 90-degree turns or even loop back on themselves. For decades, the mystery was simple. No one had ever actually seen them move. The local Timbisha Shoshone tribes avoided the racetrack, believing the stones were possessed by mountain spirits who moved them during the night to mark their territory. Early explorers in the 1800s were terrified to find fresh tracks leading to massive stones, as if the rocks had been walking while the men slept. Yet there were never any human or animal footprints nearby. In the 1940s, geologists began to study the phenomenon. They ruled out gravity, as the playa is almost perfectly level. They ruled out magnetism, as the rocks are ordinary dolomite and limestone. Some suggested that dust devils or intense desert winds were pushing them, but a 700-pound boulder would require wind speeds of over 500 miles per hour to budge, speeds never recorded on Earth. The mystery took a spooky turn when observers noted that the stones didn't always move together. Two rocks sitting side by side might move in completely opposite directions, or one might stay still for years while its neighbor wandered all over the lakebed. This suggested a deliberate, individual motion, fueling theories of living stones or subterranean magnetic pulses. Paranormal investigators flocked to the racetrack, claiming the area was a vortex of psychic energy. They reported hearing a low, grinding sound like bone on stone echoing across the playa at night. Some even claimed to see the stones shimmer in the moonlight, appearing translucent for a split second before solidifying again in a new position several inches away. In the 1970s, researchers tagged 30 stones with names like Karen and Diane to track their movements over several years. They found that the stones stayed stationary for long periods, sometimes a decade, and then suddenly leaped forward during winter storms. However, they still couldn't capture the movement on film, as cameras would mysteriously fail or be knocked over. One theory suggested that thin sheets of ice formed on the playa during rare winter rains, allowing the wind to slide the stones across the slick surface. But skeptics pointed out that the tracks often showed the stones plowing through thick mud, creating high ridges on either side, which would be impossible if they were simply sliding on top of a sheet of ice. In 2014, a team of scientists finally solved the mystery using GPS trackers and time-lapse cameras. They discovered a rare, perfect storm of conditions: a shallow pool of water, a thin layer of windowpane, ice, and light winds. The ice would break into large sheets that acted like sails, pushing the stones along at a speed of only a few inches per second. But the scientific explanation didn't account for everything. Longtime rangers and locals noted that some tracks were found during years of total drought when no ice could have possibly formed. They also couldn't explain the phantom tracks, deep furrows in the mud that led to nowhere, with no stone at the end, as if a rock had simply ascended into the sky. The racetrack playa remains an eerie, silent place. Even with the ice sailing theory, the atmosphere of the lakebed is oppressive. Visitors report a feeling of being washed by the stones, and many describe a strange static in the air that makes their hair stand on end. The stones sit like silent sentinels, seemingly waiting for the humans to leave so they can begin their dance. Death Valley is a land of extremes and illusions, where the heat can make the horizon melt and the wind can sound like voices. Whether moved by ice or by the ancient spirits of the mountains, the sailing stones serve as a reminder that the earth is alive in ways we are only beginning to understand. They are the slowest ghosts in the world, marking their passage across the dust. As the shadows of the mountains stretch across the racetrack, the stones remain still for now. But somewhere in the deep, cold night, when the wind picks up and the ice begins to crack, a 700-pound boulder will begin to groan and slide, writing its secret history into the mud of the desert floor, far from the prying eyes of the living.